wow, AI is really moving fast these days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at what it can do now with images.
It's crazy.
Like, it's not just making, simple pictures anymore. We're
Right.
talking like almost photorealistic stuff.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
And that's what we're going to dig into today. This whole new 4o image generation thing that they just added to ChatGPT.
From OpenAI.
From OpenAI, yeah.
Definitely worth a deep dive.
So to really get into this, we're going to be looking at a great paper from Stanford University.
Oh, fantastic.
From their Open Virtual Assistant Lab.
Okay.
It's called ChatGPT Update on 4o Image Generation.pdf.
Okay.
And it's by Jörg-Owe.
Sounds like a great source.
Yeah, it gives us like a really structured view of like all the capabilities and possibilities of this tech.
I'm excited to jump in.
Yeah, so think of it as like, a really clear guide to understanding what's happening at the cutting edge right now. And our goal today is to basically like, extract the key capabilities and explore what Jörg-Owe really outlines about the potential shifts across industries.
Yeah, the big impact.
Yeah, the big impact and what this all means, for you, the listener. We want to like give you the essential knowledge.
Absolutely.
Without getting bogged down, in all the crazy technical details.
Yeah, that's the key. Make it accessible.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe to kick things off.
Yeah.
What really struck me from reading Jörg-Owe analysis is that this 4o image generation.
Yeah.
It's not just some small step forward.
No.
It's like a giant leap in AI.
Yeah.
Specifically within this GPT-4o thing.
Yeah.
The core of what it can do.
Yeah.
Taking complex descriptions, words, and turning them into images that are crazy detailed. And as Jörg-Owe really drives home, photorealistic images.
And, I mean, going through Jörg-Owe overview here, it's clear this isn't just some niche, like,
no, not at all.
Specialized tool.
Right.
He's saying this could really change the game.
He really is.
The cross-media, entertainment, advertising, even education. It's like a whole new way to create visual stuff.
Absolutely. A paradigm shift.
Okay, so let's get into some of these enhanced capabilities then.
Super.
Because one thing that really jumped out at me was this concept of improved instruction adherence.
Right.
And Jörg-Owe talks about this a lot.
He does, yeah, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because now GPT-4o, this model, can like accurately render a bunch of different objects.
Right.
I think he said 10 to 20.
Yeah, he said like 10 to 20.
In one image.
Yeah.
And it still follows what you asked for.
Exactly, yeah.
So it can handle this level of complexity and detail in a way that, previous models really couldn't.
Like, so you're saying you could describe like a whole scene with like tons of different elements and AI would actually
get it right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's also like the huge jump in how real these pictures actually look.
Right. The photorealism.
Yeah.
Jörg-Owe makes a big point of this.
Yeah.
Compared to like older models.
Mm-hmm.
Like DALL-E 3.
Yeah, DALL-E 3, yeah.
The images from GPT-4o are way more photorealistic.
Right.
Not only technically right, but like they're just more beautiful. More aesthetically pleasing.
More aesthetically pleasing.
And that makes them way more usable for so many more things.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jörg-Owe brings up this really interesting point.
Yeah.
That this empowers people who,
yeah,
maybe they're not artists in the traditional sense.
Right.
But now they can like bring their visions to life.
Yeah.
Make them visual. It's really democratizing visual creation.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
And it sounds like they put a lot of thought into how people actually use this technology.
Yeah, the user experience side of things.
Exactly. Jörg-Owe mentions that in the essay, this user-centric design.
Yeah, user-centric design.
He emphasizes that the AI, it needs to be flexible enough, powerful enough to handle really complex and nuanced ideas,
right.
to really capture what the user is going for.
The soul, he says.
The soul, exactly.
Yeah, the soul, yeah.
It's not just about, making any old picture.
Yeah.
It's about making the right picture.
Yeah, the specific one you had in mind.
Exactly.
And it also seems like the way you interact with the AI itself is changing. Jörg-Owe talks about this idea of more natural interaction
right
with the tool.
It's not so much about, giving it these really strict, rigid commands.
And rigid commands,
more about like a back and forth, a conversation almost.
Yeah, like a more natural flow to kind of refine what you're getting.
Exactly, yeah, as an output.
And Jörg-Owe Schneppert is pretty clear that this improved experience is a huge part of why this upgrade is so important.
Right. Yeah.
Making the technology just easier for anyone to use.
Yeah, so it's not just about like the quality of the visuals themselves. It's also about the process.
It's about the journey, the creative journey.
Yeah, the journey.
Making it smoother, easier, more intuitive.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So how about like what this could all mean for different industries?
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, Jörg-Owe Schneppert explores this a bit too.
He does, yeah.
In the paper.
What's really fascinating is the potential here to just crank out customized visuals, like insanely fast.
Super fast.
Yeah, and that could be a total game changer.
Huge implications.
For like e-commerce.
Yeah.
Where, visuals are everything.
Right, and design too.
And design, yeah.
Where being able to iterate quickly and visualize things.
Visualize crucial.
To the whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah, the speed and the customization. Like I can see why Jörg-Owe Schneppert is saying this could be so transformative for those sectors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into some of the technical stuff for a minute.
Okay, sounds good.
'Cause one thing that really caught my eye was this whole idea of using reference images.
Right.
Jörg-Owe Schneppert outlines this in the essay.
He does, yeah.
And it sounds super useful, especially for like, professionals.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Right.
Because now you can upload like an existing picture and use that as a reference point to tell the AI to like change certain things.
Right, change certain things, yeah. Like the aspect ratio or the colors.
Yeah, colors, exactly.
And that kind of fine-grained control.
Yeah.
Especially in fields like design and advertising that Jörg-Owe Schneppert points out. That's like super valuable.
Right.
Because you got to keep things consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
Hit specific visual targets.
Totally, yeah.
That's the thing. Make it look like this, but
change this.
Yeah, but change this specific thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like a huge deal.
Yeah, a huge deal for control.
For control, exactly.
And Jörg-Owe Schneppert also talks about, briefly what it takes, like infrastructure-wise, to actually run this technology.
Right.
Which is, it's important to consider.
Of course.
That it's not, like, free,
Not magic, yeah.
It's not magic, yeah, exactly.
You need some serious computing power.
Yeah.
And tons of storage.
Yeah, to make this happen.
To handle all this data.
So if you're thinking about like using GPT-4o, you got to be ready.
You got to be prepared.
To invest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so even with all this amazing stuff, that Jörg-Owe Schneppert lays out.
Right.
It's good to remember that there are still some
limitations.
Challenges, some limitations.
Yeah, it's not perfect yet.
It's not perfect, yeah.
And Jörg-Owe Schneppert does a good job of being balanced.
Yeah.
And pointing that out.
Yeah, I'm pointing that out, yeah.
Like, sometimes you still get some weirdness in the tiny details of images.
Yeah.
And it's not always
super fast.
As fast as you'd want it to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, it's powerful.
Yeah,
but there's still work to do.
There's still work to do, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now, how about, like, the big picture stuff?
Okay.
Like what this means for society as a whole.
Right. The societal implications.
Yeah. Jörg-Owe Schneppert also talks about this a bit.
He does. And it's something we got to think about carefully. Because if it's this easy to make photorealistic images now, it could change how we see visual information.
Like, how do we even know
exactly
what's real anymore, right?
Right. And how do we prevent misuse?
Right.
We need responsible development, deployment of this tech.
It feels like Jörg-Owe Schneppert is saying, we're on the edge of a pretty big shift.
We are.
In our relationship with visual content.
For sure.
Okay, so to make this all a little bit more concrete.
Sure.
The essay also includes some really cool examples of how this tech could be used.
Yeah, practical applications.
Yeah, practical applications across different fields.
Like in education and training.
Yeah, education and training, yeah.
You could use this to whip up, like, custom diagrams or visuals to explain tough concepts.
Right, to make things easier to understand.
Exactly.
And then there's like design and advertising, where you could make,
high quality visuals.
High quality, for marketing, for branding.
And campaigns.
And with so much precision, like it could just make them way more effective.
Much more impactful.
And think about like all the content creators out there, bloggers, social media teams, being able to just like churn out engaging thumbnails, infographics, artwork.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, all that good stuff so much faster.
And Jörg-Owe really emphasizes this potential for streamlined content creation.
Streamlined content creation, yes.
And then you've got e-commerce, being able to make realistic product mock-ups.
Product mock-ups, yeah.
Personalized marketing images. And even for like storytelling. And comics.
Yeah.
AI could help writers and artists, visualize their story.
Bringing their stories to life, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the range of potential uses here is pretty amazing.
Right. It is. Jörg-Owe really documents this well.
Yeah, he does.
It's mind-blowing.
Okay, so what about, like, what are people actually saying?
Yeah, good question.
Who are actually using this 4o image generation,
Right, user feedback.
Yeah, user feedback. What's the early reaction been like? And Jörg-Owe touches on this as well, right?
He does, yeah, and it seems like people are pretty happy. Especially with, like, how much better the conversational aspect is.
Yeah, that back and forth.
Yeah, that natural interaction with the AI.
Right.
And people are also digging the new interface thing. It's just, like, way easier to use.
Easier to navigate.
More intuitive,
yeah. Which is really encouraging.
Exactly.
Because what's the point of having, like, this super powerful tool if it's, like, impossible to actually use?
Right. And to make it accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking ahead now, Jörg-Owe gives some thoughts on where this is all going.
Right. The future of AI image generation.
Yeah, the future of it all.
And he sees this GPT-4o upgrade as a really big turning point.
A turning point, yeah.
Yeah, like AI is really becoming a bigger part of our lives.
Oh, a bigger part of our lives, yeah.
And he thinks we're going to see even more advancements in how we interact with it. And like totally new creative possibilities.
Yeah, that we can't even like imagine yet.
That we can't even grasp right now, yeah.
Right, and what about like how this could affect the economy?
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, Jörg-Owe, he talks about the potential for businesses, like in e-commerce, to save a ton of money and get stuff to market faster, by using AI to create like marketing visuals.
Yeah, it could give them a real edge.
Yeah, a real competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious about like what this means for more traditional creative fields like fashion design. As Jörg-Owe mentions.
Exactly. Because imagine being able to prototype so quickly.
Yeah.
And experiment visually.
Yeah.
Like, that could totally change how design works.
Yeah. Yeah. Speed everything up.
Speed everything up, yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like overall, as Jörg-Owe is saying, we're headed towards even more powerful tools.
More power.
Yeah, more power.
More controls.
And more possibilities.
Yeah, capable of doing, like, increasingly complex things.
Yeah, and handling all these nuanced requests. With more and more precision.
It's exciting.
It is, and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been a really great deep dive, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Into, this new ChatGPT feature.
Right.
Really drawing on Jörg-Owe.
Yeah, his analysis is great.
Expertise.
Yeah.
And the key takeaways for me are like,
the sheer power of this technology. Like, it's really impressive what it can do.
Absolutely.
Its potential, across so many different areas.
Right. Jörg-Owe really highlights that.
That Jörg-Owe highlights, yeah. And just like the possibilities for the future are really fascinating.
Totally. Yeah. And for you, the listener.
Yeah.
I hope this has given you, a good understanding of this whole development.
Yeah.
A clear picture of what it can do.
Yeah.
What it means.
Yeah.
All in a way that's, hopefully easy to grasp.
Yeah.
And digest.
Yeah. Concise and accessible. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So here's something to think about. you know, as you go about your day, based on all the stuff we've talked about and Jörg-Owe Schneppat's expert analysis, how do you see yourself using AI image generation?
Good question.
You know, in your own work.
Yeah.
In your own interests, in your own life, you know?
Something we all need to consider.
Yeah.
Because it's going to affect us all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to dive even deeper into all this, you know, we encourage you to check out the full document from the Stanford University Open Virtual Assistant Lab.
Okay.
By Jörg-Owe Schneppat.
Right.
It's really great.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It's been fun.
It has.
All right. See ya.